Hello. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at some historical gold-related sites in my local area, including a quick dig at the end. So join me as I head to Warrandyte for some exploring. So, Warrandyte is located 24 kilometres northeast of Melbourne on the banks of the Yarra River, and it has a really interesting history of gold, and considering it's only 5 minutes away from my house, I of course had to go take a look. Now the first place I wanted to stop and take a look at was Pound Bend Tunnel. So off I headed to Pound Bend Reserve. And here it is, Pound Bend Tunnel. Now its mouth measures 4 by 6 metres and its length is about 145 metres. So yeah, it's quite impressive if you ask me. So the idea was to excavate the tunnel first, then erect cofferdams. This would divert the flow of the river through the tunnel and would dry off roughly 5 kilometres of riverbed, which would open it up for mining, obviously. Works began in early 1870 when the Evelyn Tunnelling and Mining Company, a company created especially for this venture, started excavation on the tunnel. By the end of the year, they'd finished excavation and cofferdams were erected. So with the cofferdams in place and the river successfully diverted through the tunnel, the hopefully rich riverbed was now exposed and ready for mining. But of course, this is gold mining and things don't always pan out as we hope. So as it turns out, the riverbed wasn't as rich as expected, and the costs involved equaled roughly the same as the returns they were getting. So therefore, in September 1872, the company closed after only 2 years of operation, never making a profit. The cofferdams were then removed and the river mostly returned to its original course. Interestingly enough, the Pound Bend Tunnel wasn't the only river diversion to be undertaken in the vicinity of Warrandyte. A few kilometres upstream, another diversion called the Island was completed about a decade earlier in 1860. Here at the Island, they employed a slightly different technique. Instead of making a river diversion tunnel, they cut out a channel. During subsequent flooding events, the channel was widened and thus became solidified as the main channel of the river. Now, unless you know what you're looking at, there's not really a lot to see here today. It all looks rather natural, but since I do know the history, I think it's actually quite interesting, so yeah. So, next on my list of things to do while I was in Warrandyte was check out the Gold Heritage Walk. The Gold Heritage Walk is a 1.5–2 hour stroll around the Fourth Hill area, taking in a bunch of old historical gold-related sites and landmarks, so we might be able to see something interesting, hopefully. So, join me as I go take a look. Here is Gerrity's Mine, and it was my first stop along the trail. Gerrity's Mine extends 130 metres into the hillside and branches off in various directions. It was built between June 1859 and February the following year. Quite extensive mine for the area, and once even included a light tramway to help get material out of the mine. Here we have an open mine, and there's many others like it in the area. These were originally worked by the Europeans, but were reworked by the Chinese who flocked to the area during the gold rush. The Chinese miners were quite skilled and meticulous, and often did quite well in gathering the gold that the Europeans missed. Stop along the trail is Fourth Hill Summit. This place is quite interesting considering it used to be the chief water supply for Warrandyte, which is pretty weird when you consider it's the top of a hill. Pretty interesting. Not much to see though. My next stop along the trail was Victory Mine. Now, Victory Mine was previously known as Young Colonial and Warrandyte Claim, and was one of the richest claims in the area. The mine began being worked in 1896 and 1,870 ounces was found within 3 years. The main shaft is sunk to 220 feet, and there's also some side shafts around the area that are covered by grates, and also the remains of an old stamping battery. It's a pretty interesting spot. My next stop along the trail is Johnson's Mine. The Johnson Mine adit goes for about 60 metres into the hillside and then takes a turn to the left. This Johnson fellow was following a small gold vein, but after a lot of time and expense, not a lot of reward was had from this mine shaft. There's also this miner's hut along the trail, apparently from the 1950s, but it's not very interesting. It just looks like a pile of corrugated iron. Here's what it is. And my last stop along the trail is the Monument Mine and the Upper Monument Mine. So I didn't end up getting a lot of footage at these mines. I'm not sure what really happened there. I must have been daydreaming. But these mines are quite interesting for the fact that they were some of the last mines worked in the area, all the way up until the 1960s. So to end the day, I headed down to Anderson's Creek. This creek is rather special, both to me personally and to the gold history of Victoria. So the story goes like this. 15 years after Melbourne was founded in 1835, on the 9th of June 1851, a 200 guinea reward, that's roughly 35,000 Australian dollars in today's money, was offered by the Gold Discovery Committee for the discovery of the first payable goldfield within 100 miles of Melbourne. 37 days later, on the 16th of July 1851, the committee awarded Lewis J. Michael's party for a discovery at Warrandyte on a small tributary of the Yarra River called Anderson's Creek. This is that Anderson's Creek. The goldfield was named Victoria Goldfield in honour of the newly separate colony of Victoria. But with larger and richer goldfields soon to be discovered in central Victoria, the rush to Anderson's Creek and surrounds was minimal in the years immediately following the discovery. But by the early 1900s, the richer goldfields had been worked out, which led to the Warrandyte area seeing a small resurgence in mining activity. A memorial cairn, commemorating the award by the Gold Discovery Committee as the first payable goldfield, was built in 1935 near to the exact spot on Anderson's Creek where the gold was first discovered. The memorial cairn is actually part of the Gold Heritage Walk, which I did earlier, but decided to include it in this little section instead. Gold can still be found along Anderson's Creek, with panning allowed along a demarcated section of the creek. Anyone is welcome to try their luck as long as they have a valid miner's right. So I'm of course going to have a quick dig while I'm here. This is the very first spot that I got my very first gold, so you know it holds a special place in my heart, and not to mention the historical significance too. So it's pretty cool that you can still have a pan here, find some gold. You're not going to find a lot of gold, obviously it's been hit so much over the last 150 years, but it's pretty cool that you can still come here and get it. And I mean, it's somewhere easy, really easy for someone who's new to gold prospecting to come and find something. So yeah, let's have a look, see if we can get some gold from a pretty cool spot. So there's a bunch of crevices here, as you can see, a lot of bedrock running sort of across the stream. So I figure I'll be able to poke around in this little area somewhere, probably find some colour. Again, not a lot because it's been hit so hard, but if I can get any colour from this spot, it'll be good. So yeah, let's have a look at one of these crevices. So I'm just going to dig, take a couple of scoops out of that little section down there. Someone's already had a dig, but it's a nice little groove in between these two rocks and this large one here. So yeah, I'll have a bit of a dig in there.
Alright, so I've got a small little pan here to do, so I'll get that classified down and we'll see if we get any colour. Alright, let's see if we got anything. No dice. Gotta watch out for these buggers. Just had him on my arm. Well, I did it. I managed to get a couple of specks of Warrandyte gold. I don't know if you can see those two little specks in the middle there. Some nice Warrandyte gold. So yeah, you're not gonna get crazy amounts of gold here, but you are gonna get something. And that's something. That's better than nothing. It's pretty cool it's pretty cool to get gold in this spot here. So anyone who's keen to get into gold prospecting, I'd recommend you come to this creek here because it's nice and easy to get to. And as I've just shown, took me only 2 pans. I got some nice gold. So yeah. All right. So I just finished I just had my first pan from in there, and didn't get anything. That person obviously cleaned out that spot pretty good. So next I decided to just go up here a little bit, and this was my second pan, and decided to go behind these rocks here, sort of a nice section of a rock right across the creek, and then it completely drops away down here, and I ended up going down about a foot there. I got rid of all the overburden and just got down as deep as I could till I started hitting this sort of clay material. Popped that in the pan, and yeah, that's where we got our couple of colours from. So bit of a tip if anyone's coming down here. Anyway, I think that'll do for me today. I don't need to tear up this creek. I just wanted to get a couple of bits of colour in the pan for old time's sake and to show you guys. So yeah, I think I'll call that a day. Thanks for joining me today, and hope you enjoyed the video. Oh, and hit that like button and make sure you subscribe. Bye.